Hey fans, what's up? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Test, Daf 9 of Masechta Ksubis. Friends, Daf 9, whatever. It's like kind of Ksubis-y kind of stuff. I mean, no surprises here. How's Ksubis going? It's like good. I mean, I guess the subject matter is like interesting, but dude, my brain is feeling a lot better. What's today? Daf Tes. Friends, do you remember Daf Tes of Masechta Yevamos? That was a headache daf. I was like, at the end of that daf, I was done. I was like, that's when I needed like ibuprofen. My mom had we had this huge thing of ibuprofen here in Eretz Yisrael. My mom had taken it back to Chutz La'aretz because it was expired. I didn't care. I would have taken it. I mean, that was a headache daf. Daf Tes of Masechta Ksubis, whatever. It's Gemara, you know, and it's pretty short too. So let's jump in. So we're going to start all the way at the bottom of the Daf Ches Amud Beis, all the way at the bottom. Omer Belazar, we're already on Daf Tes. HaOmer Pesach Pasuach Matzasi Nemel Osra Aleph. So, okay, and this is basically what we're going to talk about in today's Daf. That a fellow who makes a claim that he found the Pesach Pasuach, that she wasn't a Basula. Now, he doesn't have any proof. He doesn't have any proof or anything. But he's just, he's saying, look, she's not a Basula. So, Neman le'osra Aleph. So, okay, basically what he accomplishes by doing that is that, okay, he's not allowed to be with her anymore. I mean, he says, he's saying, okay, he suspects that maybe she had a relationship with somebody else after Erisin, and they can't be together anymore, a consensual relationship. So he's a surter, but her ksuba is still worth the same 200 it was worth before. He doesn't have any evidence. He's saying, look, we had Bia, she's not a Basula. She was not a Basula. So he says, Pesach, Pasuach, Matzasi, that I found that she wasn't a Basula. Nemal Osra Aleph, so he's believed to the extent that he's not allowed to be with her anymore. Ve'amai, how come he's not allowed to be with her anymore? Svek Sveko. Shouldn't we say it's a Svek Sveka? What's a Svek Sveka? A double suffix, and we're going to explain what the two suffixes are. On suffix number 1, suffix tachtov, suffix in tachtov. Look, she's only asura to him if she had a consensual relationship, as we're about to see in a second. That's the second suffix, but she's only asura to him if this relationship was after kiddushin. But if she had a relationship with somebody before they were together, so she's not asura to him. So, and then, and even if you say that this relationship was after Kiddushin, Safik bonus, Safik brosun. It depends. If it was consensual, so then she's a surah to him. But if it was non-consensual, then they could stay together. So therefore, fine. So he found the Pesach Pasuach. So he says she's not a Basula. But who says, right, so there's two Sveikos. First of all, she may have had a relationship with somebody before Kiddushin, in which case it's irrelevant. And even if it was after Kiddushin, it may have been Ba'onis, in which case it's irrelevant. So there's a double suffix over here. So, lo tzricha be'eshes kohen. So we give two possibilities. The first one is that, if he's a kohen, so then even if it's ba'ones, then she's still a surat, and then they can't be together. So therefore there's only one suffix, which is, was it before Kiddushin or after Kiddushin? V'bay sema, or alternatively, be'eshes Yisrael, you could say it's talking about, even if he's Yisrael, but uchugon dekavil ale, dechabil ba avua Kiddushin pchusim b'askim l'shanim v'yom echad. There could be a situation where this fellow married a girl whose father married her off when she was, accepted the Kesef Kiddushin when she was less than 3 years and a day. And therefore, from the time she was, the Kiddushin was already prior to being 3 years and a day. So, certainly if you found a Pesach Pasuach, it was from a relationship that she had Tachtav, after Kiddushin, because even if somehow she was penetrated before then, it would just grow back. I mean, so definitely this, he's now later on finding a Pesach Pasuach. So this relationship that she may have had with somebody else definitely was after Kiddushin, that's for sure, because the Kiddushin was already when she was less than 3 and a day. But then the only question is, was it Be'onus or Beratzon? So it's only one suffix as well. Fine. Okay, so Belazar says that by saying that it's a Pesach Pasuach, so then he's no longer allowed to be with her. Because maybe she had a relationship after Kiddushin, and then they can't be together anymore. Fine. So my kamashmalan tanina. But still, we say, what's the big chiddush over here? What's the big chiddush over here? We have a Mishnah that says, Omer leisha kidashtich v'yo omeres lo kidashtani. Reuven says to Sarah, I was mekadesh you, by the way. She says, no, you weren't. He mutaris bekrova v'hu also bekrova sel. So by him saying that he was mekadesh her, so he can no longer marry any of her relatives, not her mother, daughter, sister. He claims that they're betrothed. So he cannot marry any of her relatives. But she's claiming that this never happened. So she could marry his brother if she wants. So we see that his one-sided claim works only to the extent that it makes him usher, not her. So here also, he's claiming that she's a that he found the Pesach Pasuach Matzasi. So Nema La'osr Olav, so he can't be with her anymore. But that's it. She still gets the same Ksuba. There's no nafkaminas for her. But Ma'udetema, I may have thought to say awesome that when it comes to Kiddushin, Devadai Kimle, look, this guy's saying 100%, I definitely gave, right? Reuven saying, I definitely gave Sarah Kesef Kiddushin. So in that case, I understand why, okay, fine, if he's saying for sure that he gave her Kesef Kiddushin, so he's also to her relatives. Aval Hacha Meka Mudulo Kimle. But over here, he's not 100% sure, right? Especially if, it's his first time being, having relations with a woman. So, he can't say for sure that it was a Pesach Patsuach, and right, he's not so experienced, and therefore, he's not 100% sure. And for that reason, I may have thought to say that we can't, right, we wouldn't trust him to make her usher upon him. But Kamash Mala, no, even here as well, she becomes usher to him. Fine. One second. Does Rabbi Elazar really say that if the fellow says Pesach Pasuach Matzasi, she's asura to him? But Rabbi Elazar said, that the only way that a woman becomes asura to her husband is in the situation of a sota, right? If a husband says to a wife, I don't want you being secluded with a certain fellow, then there's witnesses that say that they were secluded together. At that point, she's asura to her husband, they cannot be together. But that's it. Right? It says, Ela liskekinu v'stira. That's the only case. Uchmash Shahaya, and like Dovin Bat Sheva. The Gemara is going to ask about that in a second. But so Rabbi Elazar says that that's the only case where she's asura to him, not Pesach Pasuach Matzasi. V'tizbra. The Gemara says, one second. Maise Shahaya, Dovin Bat Sheva, Bikinu v'stira hava. What? That was sota situation. Vod mi asura. What was Bat Sheva asra on Uriah Achiti? Lo kasha achi kamar. No, this is what Rabbi Elazar is saying. Eno isha neseres al baila ela liskekinu v'stira. How do we know that the only situation in which a woman becomes asura upon her husband is a situation of sota? Mimaise shahaya, based on the fact that by David and Batsheva, delohava kinu v'stira, that was not a situation of sota, vilo itzira, and she did not become asura upon Uriah. The point being that if it was kinui v'stira, if it was sota, then a woman would become, a wife would become asura upon her husband. Mikol makom kasha, to which the Gemara says, okay, fine, great. So we're saying, fine, that according to Rabbi Elazar, the only situation in which a woman would become asura to her husband is a situation of sota. So kinui v'stira in Pesach Pasuach lo, which means that by sota she's asura on her husband, but by Pesach Pasuach Matzasi she would not be asura onto her husband. With the time the Gemara, what kinui v'stira in Edim lo? What, you really think that sota is the only situation in which a woman would be asura to her husband? What if mamish two witnesses come and say that we witnessed this woman having an extramarital relationship? Obviously she would be asura al baila. There's two witnesses who are saying so. And that's not a case of sota, right? Even if it's not like where they warned and then secluded. No, two witnesses come and say that your wife was secluded, had a relationship with another man. Of course she's asura al baila. So clearly sota is not the only case. No, this is what Rabbi Elazar is saying. That in general, if two witnesses come and say to a fellow that his husband, say to a fellow that his wife had an extramarital relationship with someone else, if two witnesses came, they would be believed, but one witness would not be believed. One witness comes and says that he saw that this fellow's wife had an extramarital relationship, that would not make her asura al baila. But if he had warned his wife that he doesn't want her to be with a certain fellow, then two witnesses come and say that they were secluded. And then one witness comes and says that not only were they secluded together, but they actually had a relationship. At that point, one witness would be believed after kinui v'stira. And we're saying that Pesach Pasuach is like, he's saying that he knows for sure he found a Pesach Pasuach. So in that case, we could treat it like two witnesses to the extent that she is asura to her husband. Okay. Now the Gemara says, one second. So the Gemara says, so when it comes to David and Bathsheba, lots of people knew about it. So how come Bathsheba didn't become asura to Uriah Achiti? So awesome onus have. So one answer is you could say, well, it was onus. David HaMelech slept with her against her will. Alternatively, anybody who would fight in the Davidic wars, the wars for David HaMelech, get krisus, kosev liishto, he would first write a divorce document to his wife, that if he gets killed in battle, so then there would be divorce. The Ksubis, as the pasuk says, that Yishai sent David HaMelech v'sachecha tifkod, and check your brothers l'shalom to see if they're in peace. V'sarubasim tikach, and take their arubasim. What's arubasim? My v'sarubasim tikach tani Rav Yosef dvarim ha'morav beinu levena, things between him and her, right? Divorce document, right? So in David's armies, they would write a divorce document and give it to their wife, that in case they die in battle, they would be considered divorced. So here also, Uriah Achiti died in battle, so it was considered like Mamela, they were divorced. So therefore, it wasn't a situation of. So that's why she wasn't a surah. Okay, fine. And that's why she wasn't a surah to David as well, right? Because asur l'boal v'asur l'baal v'asur l'boal. Amar Abai says, we also have, so now Abai wants to say that we also learn in our Mishnah that if he says Pesach Pasuach, then she becomes Asura Olav. So Afananami Tanino, Besula Nisis Liom Revi, we said in our Mishnah on that base that a Besula gets married on Wednesday, Liom Revi in Liom Chamishi Lo, that a Besula gets married on a Wednesday, not on a Thursday. My time, how come not on a Thursday? Mishum Kurei Daita. Well, because by the time Monday rolls around and it's time to go to Bezdin, he'll already have calmed down. Ulamai, and why are we so concerned that we really want him to come to Bezdin, and we're concerned that he might calm down? What will be so bad if he calms down? If we're concerned that, well, if he calms down and he doesn't come to Bezdin, well, then he's going to have to pay 200 zuz instead of 100 zuz for a ksuba. So nesivla, let him pay more. Why are we so concerned to make sure that he gets that he's not paying too much for the ksuba? If he calms down and doesn't come to Bezdin, he has to pay more. So Seder, so he put himself in a situation where he has to pay more. Why are we going to get all, caught up about that? Ella la'osr olav. No. The reason why it's important is because if, in fact, she had a relationship after Kiddushin, well, then they're not allowed to be together anymore. So the reason why a Basula gets married on Wednesday is that if there's a Tanis Basulim, the next day he'll immediately come to Bezdin because, Bezdin will then research it and find out what happened. And if it's true that there was a relationship after Kiddushin, well, then there's a real nafkamina. They're not allowed to be together anymore. Now, v'tikatoin taino, my lab, v'tikatoin tanas Pesach Pasuach. And Abai wants to say, and what's he coming and claiming? He's claiming Pesach Pasuach. So we see that Pesach Pasuach works to make her usher to him. So lo v'tikatoin tanas damim. No, he's not saying Pesach Pasuach. He's saying tanas damim. That mamish he didn't, he was able to prove that there was no dam, i.e., and she was not a besula, and so it wasn't a Pesach Pasuach claim, it was a dam claim, and that's what we're concerned about. Okay, so it's not necessarily proof about Pesach Pasuach. Fine. That was daf tes of Masechta Ksubis. Alright, it's pretty short daf, right? So we talked about Pesach Pasuach. If a fellow says that he's convinced that she's not a besula, so then she becomes asura to him. All right, well, that was Daf Tes of Masechta Ksubis. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.